You all right there, Tom?
Wabadoo.
Wabadoo! Hello there, Gary YouTube, back once again to do some more Gary YouTubing, this time in the form of a tier list where we're going to go through every single John Cena WrestleMania match he's ever bloody had, Tom.
Gary YouTube, as they call him. You can't see him. Mixed bag of John Cena stuff.
It is.
Isn't it?
Some are bad, some are good. We'll put them in a table, which you'll watch now. So just in case you have not been here before, we have a tier list right here ranging from the best down to lovely, 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 down to all right, down to just about bearable, and you want to avoid that bin, don't you, John Cena?
He's not a fan of the bin. None of us are fans of the bin.
I don't like bins either. They smell. Anyway, we go to John Cena's first of 16 WrestleMania matches that he's had throughout his illustrious career, all the way back to WrestleMania 20, where he defeated The Big Show in a match where he was a babyface rapper and really popular for it at this point. He was destined for big things, and now it was very clear those big things were going to come to fruition.
As a fan around this point, I remember around Survivor Series 2003, and there was that opening match. It was Team Lesnar versus Team Big Show. And Cena was on the good guy team. He did the rap at the start where he called everybody out. That was where I thought, this guy's going to be a thing. The
pop he gets for the entrance for this match at MSG of all places. Well, it's a difficult arena to get a pop in, Tom.
It's a difficult arena, but they were ready to welcome him. Originally a baddie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
For a big part of his run, and then you couldn't deny how popular he was becoming, and they organically turned him into a baby face. Kept most of his cool factor. There was that one time where he rapped and went, "Oh, Stephanie, you're so lovely and attractive. Oh, nothing else rhymes with the word attractive." And that kind of felt a bit naff. But
he came a long way in the year 2 WrestleMania 20 because the previous year at WrestleMania 19, he was rapping to some cardboard cutouts of JC and Fabulous.
Oh, yes, he was, because they did a thing where they called them out and then obviously they didn't
turn up, yeah.
So they just did that instead.
And then this year, he was promising to beat the Big Show like a penis with an STD.
That was certainly a thing.
He's come a long way, but the match is pretty standard for, you know, a big-time WrestleMania matchup. John Cena's beaten down for a bit. Big Show almost hits a super kick at one point, which I didn't realise he did in his repertoire. It was cool AF. Cena makes the big comeback. Show kicks out of an FU, and I think that was the first time we'd seen John Cena pick up the Big Show on his shoulders, and it was a great moment that everyone appreciated greatly. And then he uses the old Nux to set up another FU to get the win and his first singles championship in the company.
It was a bright young prospect beating a legacy star with some shenanigans in the opening of WrestleMania, and I think it kind of sits, to be honest, just about bearable.
I was going to say all right, you know, Tom, because it was the crowd popping victory that the crowd wanted. And it was all about the moments, wasn't it? Just the moment of seeing the Big Show on John Cena's shoulders and the moment of John Cena hoisting up his first singles title.
Yeah, I was a bit harsh there with just about bearable. Sorry, Jonathan. I'll happily cave and put him in the all right territory.
Go on, then. I think that seems... Waggle your fingers, young boy.
My finger's getting a waggling. There he goes, sitting in the all right, beating Big Show, and then off to the races we go with the legacy of John Cena.
WrestleMania 21 rolls around where John Cena takes on JBL. It was the coronation of a new era, of course, at this WrestleMania, with Cena and Batista both winning their big titles for their respective brands. Put some respect on his name. The story goes that JBL cost John Cena his US title, then burns it in a pyro bin, which shot up a massive flame in the middle of the ring on SmackDown. It was such a big flame. And then the stipulation is there. If John Cena touches JBL in the build-up to WrestleMania 21, then the match is called off.
You know, that was a big part of the journey to it. It all goes back before that to the Rumble, where you had John Cena and Batista as the final two. They accidentally eliminate each other. We get a surprise appearance by McMahon and a quad tear. Funny how the world keeps turning, doesn't it? And I think from that point, we kind of got the vibe that these are going to be the two flag bearers for respective brands. It was also the first night that we heard Wabadoo.
Ah, yes.
It debuted on this night.
His time is now.
Yeah.
And still is to this day.
I remember at the time, because I am old, I remember at the time thinking, I prefer Dr. Thugonomics.
Everybody prefers
Dr.
Dr.
I prefer Word Life,
yeah.
you know, and I was a bit like, oh. I think there was a slightly stunted crowd response because the music was different. That's not a disrespect to John Cena. It's more the fact that And then, it's John. We like John. Come on, John. Win the wrestling.
Yeah, but JBL showed great restraint during this time because John Cena was cutting his tie. He was pouring water into JBL's cowboy hat. There was other childish stuff that didn't work for the stipulation to get called off. So we're on to WrestleMania. In the match, JBL absolutely smashes John Cena for absolutely ages. I didn't realise how long it was. Even when John gets a move in, he's immediately snuffled out because JBL is a thinking man's professional wrestler. JBL brings out a WrestleMania superplex because of Cowboy Bob, I presume, because cowboys are a breed of person that stick together, aren't they, Tom? JBL's a kind of a cowboy. He's a cowboy with money.
He's a mun boy.
A mun boy.
A bit like Cameron Grimes.
Yes, very much like Cameron Grimes. And then he goes for a nothing dive off the top rope, which Cena then turns into a power slam. And then Cena is off to the races in the match. Clothesline, 5 moves of dome. FU for the victory. It's a basic match that didn't get anywhere, is my analysis I've written down here. It should have gotten, given the feud that went before it, should have been a bit more, I thought.
In 2002, John Cena was on the chopping block for the company, and he went from undesirable to undeniable. After
he finished the story.
Yeah, JBL had a 12-month title reign, not quite a 12, but a long title. Geez, it felt 12 months. A long title reign that very organically felt like it should be ended by John Cena, and it was.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's better or worse than I think it's better than the Big Show match, but not by much. I don't remember it being like a standout match. I think it was more of a foregone conclusion.
All about that moment again of him holding the title up high, and this is the new era, the new guy, all that sort of stuff.
New era.
I think it's the all right tier once again. I don't know if you want to go above or below. It's up to you.
I think it's better than Big Show.
Go on then. You put it above
there. I think it's better than the Big Show match, I think. Not by a whole lot.
On to WrestleMania 22. Triple H defeated this time. We have a little promo package before where they're both warming up in the locker rooms where Jim Ross is telling everyone that the fans are going to boo John Cena, but he's a swell guy, honest.
He's a lovely man. This is like a real acid test for John Cena at this point as champion. I was trying to remember if he'd lost the belt by this point and regained it. I have a feeling that he did, because yes, he did, because I think this is where we'd seen Edge cash in, Edge cashew, and then Cena won it back at the Rumble a couple of weeks later. Everyone went, So then because Edge was already storming it as a WrestleMania guy, as a WWE top guy, and we thought going into Mania he'd be champ, and he wasn't. Then Cena kind of came back, and there was a little bit of a sadness about that, a bit of a malaise, because everyone was ready for an Edge run. So then we get
the Foley match instead.
We did indeed, and that created moments in itself. Triple H sort of by de facto was becoming the babyface here. I remember a lot of love for Triple H, despite his best efforts. I think a few times he could have shot him down. I think
this was the match where Triple H came dressed as Conan the Barbarian with the longest WrestleMania entrance up until Roman Reigns' entrance.
This one.
At 39, because it went on for absolutely ages. As Tom said there, lots of punches, lots of strikes. Cena tried to fight back from underneath. There was an STFU. Triple H gets to the ropes. Everybody boos because it's Bizarro land for some reason at WrestleMania 22. And then after cheering Triple H beating down Cena, it didn't make sense that they would then boo. I don't understand what the crowd wanted at this WrestleMania.
Just happy for it to be over, man.
Cena kicks out of a sledgehammer slot. A sledgehammer. Can you tell we're shooting this just after WrestleMania weekend?
We
are frazzled. He kicks out of a sledgehammer shot with the referee down because he is a superhero. Triple H then kicks out of an AA/FU, whatever it was called at this time. And then surprisingly, at this point in time, Triple H submits again at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, again, a way of Triple H putting over the new guy. In the run-up to this, again, Triple H was very much beloved, and then getting Cena to tap him out, I think, was a way of putting Cena over strong. I thought it was a good match. Crowd are very undecisive, fickle at points.
I think it was a match that was a step above the two we've talked about so far, but I don't think it's anywhere near the best tier.
So far, he has been very fair to middling at WrestleMania, hasn't he, Jonathan Cena? Do we think? I think it was a better match than the JBL one.
Yeah, definitely.
There's something to be said for the fact that every Mania match he's had so far, whilst they've all been all right, have improved.
Get Move JBL. The politics on show here is disgusting. But I think once again it's about a legacy victory. I think that's what we'll call it. Legacy where he's beaten Triple H at WrestleMania, and that's all that matters. Now we're kicking things up. We're going war-tish throughout the gears. WrestleMania 23, where John Cena defeats Shawn Michaels. The best match by far that we've seen so far from John Cena at WrestleMania. We go into the match with Michaels and Cena. We're unlikely tag team champions, beating Edge and Orton just after the Royal Rumble of 2007. Then Michaels beats Edge and Orton to become number one contender for Cena's title, while also being tag team champion with John Cena. However, will they coexist?
It's a great example of WWE booking over-egging the pudding. But this wasn't meant to be where we were meant to go. This was meant to be Cena Triple H 2. But at New Year's Revolution, Triple H tore his flipping quad. The quads once again come into effect in this tier video. And I remember that match because Triple H tore his quad during the tag team match. And you watch as if it clicks into Shawn Michaels' head, like he sees a flash forward of the next 3 minutes. He goes, all right, better get on with it. And he does this killer dive outside the ring and just takes over the entire match and runs to the finish on his own. It's like, okay, so I guess it's John. And there was nervousness about this. I remember watching this in I think it was the John Cena documentary, where this was the first time they'd done a stadium in ages. And they were like, we were hoping to sell it out with Triple H versus Cena 2. We're now doing Cena versus Michael, which hasn't got as much of a story, which I think is why they kind of do this thing where they, as I say, over-egg the pudding, try and add too much story. And really, a first time ever encounter between Cena and Shawn Michaels probably is enough.
Yeah, you think about that now, and it definitely is, but at the time, I know what you're saying. Because, we get to the point where Shawn Michaels is like, I've got your back until WrestleMania, John Cena. Then on the Raw before WrestleMania, Michaels turns on Cena. And this is the WrestleMania where we saw John Cena's Ford Mustang entrance, which didn't slap for me.
No, it didn't really do it for me either.
Because they were at Ford Field, Tom, therefore Ford Mustang.
Oh, that makes more sense. Was it actually, in that case, just to spin back a little bit, was the Mania entrance the year before, was that the CM Punk debut?
CM Punk with a little Tommy gun.
CM Punk with his Tommy gun, look at that. He was young and tired and working with effing children at that point.
Still love muffins, though. In this match, Shawn Michaels is being the proper cocky heel. He's talking all kinds of trash and extracting the Michael I've written down here out of Cena in the wrestling action. The crowd again are booing most of the things that John Cena tries to do, even though he is the proper bona fide babyface of the storyline. Acai moonsault from Michaels onto the announce table at ringside is one of the highlights of this match. Michaels is busted open by headbutting the ring post while trying to spear John Cena in the corner. A lovely pile driver from Michaels onto the steel steps while the referee is down, and then Cena takes the beating. A new referee comes down, and this almost results in a pinfall victory for Michaels because of the new referee getting into position. Then we get this lovely back and forth technical wrestling special, which we haven't really seen from John Cena all too often up to this point. We're seeing more and more as he got older and older, didn't he? Remember that run he had with AJ Styles in like 2017 sort of time? And he was doing the roll through AAs and whatnot. He's like, he actually can bloody wrestle, can't he?
It's almost like as you're getting older, there's that extra effort that you put in to prove that you're not getting older. So you do tend to maybe work a little bit harder in your 30s than you do in your 20s.
Yeah, but just the technical wrestling they were doing, the little sequences they were putting together was really good stuff. Michael taps out after STFU, put on, and then like, a double, like, I'm knackered sort of spot. Then Cena's the one who acts first because he's the younger man with more testosterone in his loins or something like that. And that's what gets him the victory. I thought it was a great match, a great story in the match itself. Was it overdone at that point? The sort of, how can they coexist? Not compared to the modern day.
That whole how can they coexist thing goes back to WrestleMania 6, where I think they had Hogan and Warrior challenging maybe for the tag titles ahead of Mania. If it wasn't tag titles, it was against an opponent. Apologies, I can't think of who they were off the top of my head. And having that can they coexist type thing. So it's a very worn trope, and I don't think this match needed it. Having said that, it was a great match. Best Cena match so far at Mania by far.
Best tier? In relativity to John Cena WrestleMania matches,
I think in relativity it goes in the best.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we chuck it straight in there. I think that was a combo of Cena really giving it socks, knowing like he's carrying the company in a big match. Shawn Michaels being Mr. WrestleMania, and them two knowing what's on the line. First stadium event, let's really make it a good one, and they really did.
Yep, and just in case you're wondering, Cena and Michaels would lose their tag team titles in a battle royale the next night on Raw, where the Hardys got the straps, and then Michaels would get his win back a few weeks later in that Raw match against John Cena that went an hour in England. Jolly old England.
I loved that because they had other stuff planned for the night. Like I remember they did a promo about Edge having a match coming up after the Michael Cena match, which they never got to. Like, I love that. Like,
who cares?
It didn't matter, but I love how they even went like, we weren't expecting to do this, but yeah, UK got a treat that night.
Wasn't that just saying like, you're doing that match, by the way? I know you had different plans for the night. You didn't get a nice steak dinner or something, but you're wrestling John Cena instead. We'll go 55 minutes, no problem.
Amazing.
WrestleMania 24 is where we see John Cena lose to Randy Orton in the triple threat match that also involves John Cena. Not much time to make it was really quick, and it was watching WrestleMania back in order. It was because we had to watch Maria and Snoop Dogg neck on for an uncomfortable period of time just before this matchup was set to start.
Was that Snoop Dogg calling it in the ring again?
I hope not. Unless Maria was game for it, why not? But I think this match was supposed to be Orton and Triple H, but then Cena returned at that year's Royal Rumble ahead of schedule, and he was put in the championship picture because he's John Cena. He won that Rumble. It made sense, didn't it?
All the dirt sheets at the time, the dirty sheets, as I was reading them as a younger man, were saying like, John Cena's going to be out for a while. He's out for a while. And then here he is at WrestleMania, at Royal Rumble at Madison Square Garden, surprise entrant, caught everyone off guard, which I thought was really cool. And then we led to this one with Cena, with Triple H and Orton. My memory's quite fuzzy on this particular match. I'm sure you can.
I've got
you can flog it for me.
I've been watching the wrestling myself with me eyes and me glasses. Orton's just been an incredible heel in this match because this is where 2008, where Randy Orton is really finding his feet as a proper evil man. He's not quite full Snake Man yet when he shaves the head completely bald and he becomes just a serpent, an evil serpent man. But he's getting there by and large. All the submissions this match is about the submissions on the main with all three men getting involved in typical triple threat fashion. I've written down here, but locked on submissions to every other man. A Triple H pedigree to Cena. Orton punched Triple H in the head while he's pinning Cena to steal the pinfall victory because, as I said earlier, he's becoming more evil as the years and the months go on. It's a really short WrestleMania match because of Snoop Dogg, as I said there earlier, at 15 minutes 10 for a world title match, triple threat match at WrestleMania. Yeah. 15 minutes 10 is really quite short, but maybe it was done on purpose because of... I always go back to Battleground 2015, an interview with somebody where Rollins apparently wanted to do all this stuff with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar was like, no, Rollins, we're not doing that because the only thing people will talk about is The Undertaker coming back at the end of the match. So we'll have just wasted our time doing all these tope con hellos and stuff like that because people will just be talking about The Undertaker. And this, of course, was the card with Ric Flair and Floyd Mayweather. So maybe they just went, they'll just be talking about that. Let's just rein it in a bit.
So let's just keep it simple, middle for diddle, and just figure it out from there. Yeah, it strikes me as the fact that I couldn't remember it, and then I remember the finish.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad match. It was unremarkable.
Yeah. I'd probably say maybe top of all right, bottom of lovely in relativity to John Cena's WrestleMania
Better than just Cena and Trips uno on uno.
Oh, I'll go. Yeah, just in there then. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah,
I think that fits.
It was Ron Seal. It did what it had to do, but nothing more.
On a very long WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 25, another triple threat match for John Cena. This time with Edge and the Big Show. John Cena coming out on top at No Way Out. Edge loses the world title in one elimination chamber match. Then he shafts Kofi Kingston, doesn't he? Yeah. Gets another chamber match. Walks out as the world heavyweight champion. This is the period of time where Vicky Guerrero is being a lady on SmackDown with lady relationships with the men. She's in a relationship with the one man, and then she's cheating on that man with the big... I don't know why I'm saying that,
She was hot property.
She was in relationship with Edge, even though Edge was just using her to further his career, but then it gets outed that John Cena has the footage of Vicky Guerrero cheating on Edge with the Big Show. They're kissing, and basically John Cena blackmails Vicky Guerrero into getting into this match to make it a triple threat matchup, and basically it goes as the way you sort of thought you think it would do. I say the little lads. This is John Cena and Edge, relatively little to the Big Show, working on the Big Show for a while. A Show gets tied up in the ropes while Cena is doing things to him, like punches and stuff. Wheelchair Vicky makes an appearance at WrestleMania. She gets out of it, and it's a miracle. Then it's just speared off the apron by Edge for a lovely WrestleMania moment because Vicky Guerrero was hated back then in the best possible way. Big Show then fights back in really angry fashion. I don't know why I wrote that down. A really angry Big Show. What a lovely sight to see. He scored wins over Cena and Edge in the build to this WrestleMania match. You'd be thinking, maybe the Big Show could do it because he's toppled the lads in the weeks prior to the show. And then we get all the stuff around the outside of the ring involving all three before Edge and Cena work together again to get the job done because Big Show is a big boy. And then we get to the WrestleMania moment of this match, I should say, which is Cena lifting both Edge and the Big Show on his shoulders. Edge falls off, AA to Big Show. Edge gets up, AA to Edge, onto Big Show for the victory.
I feel like the middle category drawer is getting very full. It's a bit like the drawer in my office, which is just full of screws and pens right now. Because I feel like it's not terrible. It's just there.
It was well laid out.
John Cena's been consistent, if nothing else.
It was well laid out as a match. Like the moving parts in the match were all laid out very well, but the action wasn't all that spectacular.
No, I want to put in all right again. But
I'll go for it. I reckon it could be better than Cena. No, man.
Better than Cena Big Show or worse than Cena Big Show?
Not better. God, gotta be
better. But then, what about old John?
Better than JBL's, I'd say.
Yeah, but not as good as the Triple H one.
No.
By virtue of Triple H not being in it.
Yeah. Is it better than previous year's Triple Threat? It might be,
Do you reckon?
Just because it's more well laid out, I don't know.
And I guess there's more storyline elements to it. I guess that comes...
Blackmail. Yeah, love a bit of blackmail.
We love a bit of blackmail.
Everyone loves the blackmail. And now we go from the all right to surely the upper echelons of this tier list, because WrestleMania 26 is where John Cena defeats Batista. This is because John Cena is a friend of Bret Hart. Batista is a friend of Vince McMahon. And that's all you need to know, because this is WrestleMania 26, and that's what this show was built around. I
seem to remember they did the same build for this as they did coming out of 2006 or 2005, where John Cena won a chamber match, and then Vince went, right, you're fighting Batista now because of reasons. I'm sure they did that.
That rings a bell, Tom.
Yeah, there was something that kind of got us there. It was the sort of Hollywood Batista, like, shades of. So I quite liked, I enjoyed their feud. I thought it was good.
Yeah. This match just went around 13 minutes, but it was one hell of a 13 minutes, let me tell you. There was some chain wrestling to start, but then Batista, because we're in proper Hollywood Batista with the shades and whatnot phase, he turns into an arse and just starts pummeling Cena and his injured neck, which was part of the build to the matchup as well. John Cena injured his neck. Batista nails this DDT where you see Cena's head crunch into the mat. It was absolutely horrible. Cena can't get the five moves the 5 moves of doom done.
Foobs.
Oh, the foobs. Done in his comeback with Batista cutting him off because he's an arsehole with a spinebuster. Cena gets battered a bit more and kicks out of a Batista bomb. And then we get a really impressive sequence which culminates with the most impressive AA in history. Cena just yeets Batista off his shoulder, and the bump Batista takes is incredible. So it's been fired out of a cannon. It is fantastic. And then we just get the STFU for the win once again. It was a big back and forth, big beefy boy battle.
Yeah, and I certainly think it's one of Cena's best at WrestleMania. Not as good as Shawn and Cena.
No.
But do we think that we populate lovely?
Yeah, definitely.
You think so?
It's definitely a step above the matches and all right. It's a step below Cena and Michael, so yeah.
I remember that this is the first time I've ever got a chance to talk about this ever. So it was after this where they carried on the feud, and I think Batista threatened to leave WWE if he doesn't beat Cena. The following night, after an I Quit match where he got FU'd like through a car, there's a picture on WWE.com of Batista in his wheelchair screaming into a microphone, and then the caption says, Batista follows through and then leaves WWE. Suggesting that Batista had filled his pants while stood in the ring.
No context.
Batista follows through. Bless you, Dave.
Yeah, bless him and his undercrackers. Anyway, WrestleMania 27 we get on to now. This one goes, I think, a bit further down the tier potentially, because this is where John Cena lost to The Miz in the main event of WrestleMania 27, which was used, of course, to build to the main event of WrestleMania 28. If you want to take things back to November, where Miz cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, now he has a pretty meh title run in the build to WrestleMania 27, where he really liked to beat up Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn of affairs, I do believe. The Miz, bless The Miz.
Yeah.
Like his first WWE title run, and it is just lost in the mire of everything else. The fact that John Cena, like the WrestleMania main event should be about the champion versus the challenger, not the challenger versus the host.
Yeah.
With an appearance by the commentator. Like, a couple of times, because and this was at the height of. Oh, this is going to get buried. This was at the height of Michael Cole's heel turn.
It was. This was the WrestleMania where we saw, I think. It was one of my WrestleMania facts video the day that the producer was Dean Malenko for that Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler matchup. And Malenko was told you've got 14 minutes to fill for Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. 61-year-old Jerry Lawler, not wrestler Michael Cole. And they did Michael Cole working the leg for like 10 minutes. And it felt like an eternity. It was a wonderful match.
If you're a wrestling promoter looking to maybe start out or maybe try something different, can I please advise you never, ever turn your play-by-play commentator heel. You have no idea how much that detracts from everything going on. Never turn your play-by-play. If you're going to do a commentator heel, it should be a colour commentator.
Yeah.
Play-by-play, it ruins everything. And that time period, I struggled to watch just because the play-by-play commentator is meant to kind of guide you as to who are the heroes, who are not, in a very clear manner. Whereas you're having to kind of wade through the treacle that is Michael Cole as a baddie before you can even enjoy anything.
And he was reading that bloody laptop every minute as well. Oh, it was
insufferable. I mean, if you think, we'll have times in the years to come where we go, this is awful. There's that. That's your bellwether right there. Really is. But so when it comes to this match, talk us through this match.
So yeah, John Cena gets into the match. We've gone for the Miz's journey at WrestleMania. John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber match in February, and that's him in the match there. As we said there, The Rock is there as the guest host of WrestleMania, which means this match is used, as I said earlier, to build up nothing more than WrestleMania 28's main event match. Even in the build to this match, The Miz is dressed up as The Rock. because he should be focused on the host and not the challenger. I don't know what's going on anymore. Basically, beat down by The Miz as a heel. Obviously, Cena fights back. Miz beats down the Cena some more and appears to get a kayfabe concussion at one point. And then you think it's ironic because what happens later on, Cena sort of spears Miz over the barricade. Miz twats his head off the arena floor, gets a proper concussion. And it ruined the match from there on out. Alex Riley gets involved at one point with the ref otherwise occupied. Miz hits his finisher. Valiant kick out by John Cena. Referee down once more. Cena finisher. A-Rai with a briefcase shot. Cena kicks out. It's classic heel versus babyface stuff. And then comes, as I said earlier, that horrible spot where Miz thwacks his head off the arena floor, which brings out The Rock, because who gives a crap about The Miz being the champion anyway? Rock bottom to Cena, and The Miz capitalizes on that to retain his title. And then The Miz, after that, his big moment, retaining the title in the main event of WrestleMania against John Cena. The Rock bottoms him anyway as well.
Wasn't the match initially declared a double count out?
Yeah, and then The Rock comes down.
Came out and restarted it. So it's a main event of WrestleMania where the champion is less than the focus.
Yeah.
It's some overbooked nonsense in there. It technically ends in a double count out.
Main event of WrestleMania.
And at the end of the night, The Rock's music's playing. Like, it's just the one saving grace of this match is The Miz's entrance.
Yeah, his promo package before his inflatable letters.
Hate me now, and then the inflatable letters. That was the best part. This has got to get in the bin.
It's in the bin. It missed the mark. Absolutely, totally.
Unfortunately, this was essentially they took what should have been either a main event of Raw or a segment and made it the main event of the biggest show of the year. That's where the problems were started. But it was, as you say, it was for a greater good. Greater good.
But surely there's a better way to get there than
there's 1,000 better ways.
Sacrifice the main event of WrestleMania. Anyway, on to WrestleMania 28 we go now, where, of course, John Cena loses to The Rock in once in a lifetime. It would never, ever happen again. 5-minute performance. Oh, God, I forgot about this. 5-minute performance from MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, and then there was John Cena's entrance, and then there was a 5-minute performance by Flo Rida, and then there was The Rock's entrance, and because of that, it's already in the bin. It's all about the atmosphere and the spectacle. This one, it's delivered. Its role as a showcase main event, meeting of two eras, all that sort of bollocks. It feels proper big time. I would argue maybe the biggest big time WrestleMania main event since the one we just saw. Oh, my God. Oh, me bollocks have just dropped.
Then this is the thing again, like, you didn't need to add all this accoutrement to make it so. Like, Rock Hogan didn't have, like, freaking Simply Red performing before. It was a star in
I really wish it did.
Here comes The Rock, and I love the thought of coming home to you.
I was going to say, imagine a Simply Red rendition of I'm a Real American. Like.
But it didn't need all that, and I don't think this needed all that as well. But we're in a period in WWE at this point, it's like the reality era, where like WrestleMania has they're trying to shoehorn all this pop culture stuff into Mania, and it's Flo Rida thing, and they're doing it at the behest of the fans who are there to watch flipping wrestling.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. They've learned their lesson. They need. Well, I say they learned. Their lesson.
We
had a Hardy performance at the Rumble,
and we had the little fella who was before the minute. It wasn't a song, was he? Just sort of made noises, didn't he?
Oh, him before the Usos. Yeah, we haven't learned our lesson. We haven't learned.
We've just made it slightly smaller. Anyway,
Simply Red out. It'd been fine.
In this Rock, this is all about the Rock proving he can still wrestle, even though it's harsh to say, but it's noticeable. He gets tired halfway through, and then Cena's basically carrying him through the second half of the match, and it's like a ring general, ring general John Cena. And there's lots of near falls, of course, because we're getting to that point in wrestling history where near falls are just overdone, maybe. In certain aspects?
See, I don't know, because a few people got onto the Cena, Owens and Usos match for the near falls. Ooh. And I enjoyed all of them.
I think there's way more egregious examples than that match for near falls.
Probably are far more egregious examples.
Yeah. Cena goes for 1-2 when he moves in the build up to the build to the build to the crescendo. I'm telling you, that pig off Looney Tunes all of a sudden. And it's that move leading to a people's elbow, which leads him to walk straight into a rock bottom for the loss. So John Cena has egg on his face, trying to be a cocky heelish kind of thing.
The match itself was good. It wasn't outstanding. Like, I think these two have strong chemistry. I don't think it's what I think anybody hoped it would be. So
it's certainly better than WrestleMania 29. We'll get on to why when we speak about the WrestleMania 29 match.
We'll touch on that bad boy in a second. It's not as good as... Is it as good as Cena versus Batista?
No.
It's certainly not the best.
I don't think so.
All right. Are we back in all right? Are we filling the all right
It could
draw?
be bottom of lovely just in relativity to John Cena's, because it might be a step up to John Cena versus Triple H, but it might just be above John Cena versus Triple H.
There's certainly stuff to push it above the Triple H one. Obviously, It's a similar story with like a legacy performer going, John Cena, you're rubbish. But the difference being in this case, the legacy performer wins and goes, yeah, you are rubbish. But it's part of a longer story, so I don't know whether we let the story that is to come.
I don't think anyone was mad that The Rock won at the time, were they?
Oh no, because again, like we were still booing John. We booed John Cena for the majority. As much as he was beloved in 2004, we pretty much booed him ever since at this point. Bottom of lovely.
I'll go for it.
That's been really polite.
Yeah.
Bottom of lovely. Yeah, bottom of lovely.
WrestleMania 29, where The Rock is defeated by John Cena. Everyone hates John Cena more vocally than normal because I don't know why at this point.
Twice in a lifetime. I think Cena kind of has the Roman Reigns type thing that throughout his career where it's obvious that management are behind him and they rally against that a little bit. I think The Rock's been very popular since coming back, apart from beating CM Punk, which by some of the smarter fans wasn't very well received.
Yeah, this is where we get to after WrestleMania 29. CM Punk's big, massive, record-breaking title reign is the one sacrificed so The Rock can walk into this WrestleMania as the champion, and because of that I think the result was a bit more predictable than WrestleMania 28 because John Cena was sticking around and The Rock just simply wasn't.
Do you know what? They've sacrificed a lot to get this Cena Rock feud over 3 years. They've like putting big massive sofas into a tiny room because it's just like they've had to sacrifice a WrestleMania main event, multiple WWE title reigns, just to organically give us Cena Rock for 3 years on the bounce, and this match in particular. Again, because it came at the behest of CM Punk's title reign. CM Punk was doing great, but was never, unfortunately, the guy that was considered the guy in the company.
And he was completely fine with that, was CM Punk.
But then this year we've talked about like the idea of The Rock beating Roman Reigns and having that moment with The Rock holding the WWE title up, because that's a New York Times front cover. Yeah. You know, I imagine there was similar reaction when The Rock came back and won it then. He was already making waves in Hollywood at this point in 2013. So for him to become the champion, his last title reign in 2013. There's a whole podcast about that, by the way, on our Cultaholic podcast feed. It's called Bring It Back, the story of The Rock's last WWE title reign. It's a weird time.
With the hand signal as well.
Bring it back.
Could there be a chance the history repeats itself? A big, long, record-breaking title reign ended by The Rock?
I mean, do you know what? I don't know. He's busy. He's about to do the live-action Moana film, so I think he might be busy for the next couple of years. He's playing Maui, but the attire and the costume are going to be inspired by High Chief Peter Maivia.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that nice?
Painful tattoo, though.
Yeah.
Got that one from the belly down to the upper thigh.
It's all right. Rock's giving me a call. I've got a Crayola magic marker. We'll get it done that way. Be much easier.
What an image that is. Just Tom colouring in The Rock's anyway, The Rock suffers an abdominal injury 50 minutes into the match, which not only blighted the match itself, but also meant that Paramount had to delay filming Hercules.
Wow, I didn't know that much.
Which was gutting for everybody. I assume I haven't seen it. Have you?
Hercules wasn't very good.
Is that because The Rock was injured?
Yeah.
Fighting his way back early to beat Hercules from injury.
Yes, because he can't lose as Hercules.
It was a match that wasn't really anything apart from what we saw at WrestleMania 28. It was a finisher, a near fall, a finisher, a near fall, a big move, a big near fall, that sort of like sequential nature, everything going on. And The Rock said they were meant to go on for another 10 minutes on top of what we saw. If he didn't get injured, but because it did happen, the match got cut short. But I don't think we needed 10 minutes more of what we saw.
No, we didn't. This kind of felt like very similar to, but certainly not similar in quality, but similar in tone. How you could bolt Shawn Michaels and Undertaker from WrestleMania 28 and WrestleMania 29 together, like it was Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. You can bolt them together. It kind of makes one consistent match. Similar energy here, but not as good.
Yeah, this match is definitely a step down from 28. But it's not really their fault that, as we said, The Rock got injured, so that hampered things somewhat. But it's all right.
I think it's top of all right. But then, mind you, was Triple H and Cena was better?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think Triple H and Cena was better than that. And then I think Rock and Cena maybe beats out the triple threat matches in terms of spectacle alone.
As a match, I reckon the triple threat goes above. That first triple threat.
Do you think?
That 25 triple threat.
That one.
As a bell-to-bell thing.
I was in the Cena Triple H Orton one.
No, the Cena Edge.
Okay.
Big Show one.
So we'll sit it betwixt the triple threats.
Just because it was laid out lovely like Swan Lake. A lovely music on the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania.
If only we'd had exactly. That's exactly what it was. If only Vicky Guerrero had run in during the Rock Cena.
That would have saved everything. Anyway, on to WrestleMania 30 we go. Bray Wyatt wins, beats John Cena, and everybody's happy, Tom.
Don't toy with my emotions. It's not what happened at all.
Yeah, the wrong man won, and Bray arguably still hasn't recovered from this moment, apart from a little bit in 2019 when The Fiend debuted. Haven't really got back on track for a consistently long period of time. The story is, heading into this match, that Wyatt was trying to get into John Cena and trying to make John Cena cheat and do bad things, because Wyatt knows that John Cena is not the Make-A-Wish solving man that he claims to be.
The build-up to this, was it where we had the cage match and all the children around the ring?
I think so,
And
yeah.
Cena F5'd all the children.
Yeah.
F-U'd all the children.
I think that's
Wabba-doo!
dream you've had there.
Oh, it's a great dream.
In the match itself, Wyatt kicks out of an AA, Cena kicks out of his sister Abigail. Wyatt is then like, come on then, John, I know you're an arsehole deep down, hit me with your steel chair, hit me with your rhythm stick.
It's nice to be a lunatic.
Eric Rowan's on the ring apron at this point, and Cena's like, no, but he sort of just goes for it and hits Eric Rowan anyway, sort of proving Bray Wyatt right, that he would hit another human being. An innocent man on the ring apron, remember Eric Rowan at this point, with a steel chair. He assaulted an innocent man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one to go, come on, hit me with a chair, be a baddie, to John Cena, who I'm pretty sure has hit many people with chairs over
But
the years.
they deserved it.
But Bray Wyatt deserved it. He's been hitting with chairs for ages. Redemption.
And from that point where Cena hits Rowan with the chair, Wyatt rolls up John Cena, and that was the perfect moment for for Wyatt to get a horrible heel victory, but they didn't do it. He kicks out, then we just get to a finish anyway, and John Cena wins.
Hustle, loyalty, respect. John Cena beats Bray Wyatt. Bray didn't either win anyway. The match itself isn't terrible. The end sequence and the general vibe of the match, I don't really like.
Yeah.
So it's certainly...
Is it bearable?
Bearable. I don't
bin.
think it goes in the bin, because I think like the motions of the match were fine. And it's certainly better than Miz and Cena.
This got the tone right up until the finish of the match.
Yeah.
They just didn't get anything right from the start to the finish.
From the beginning, the energy was all wrong, and it was a rough couple of years for Mania because of John Cena and The Rock.
So we go from WrestleMania 30, where the wrong man won, to WrestleMania 31, where, in my opinion, the wrong man won. It's the Tuesday morning after WrestleMania weekend. My mouth is not working with my brain. Undefeated had intercourse with Lana in the tanky road to the ring at WrestleMania. Rusev, he was taking on John Cena, but because of America, and John Cena being the face of America and fighting for America against this Russian sympathiser, John Cena had to win. And I guess I understand that, but Rusev still should have won.
Did they really have a little naughty kiss in the tank?
Well, that's the rumour, isn't it? I don't know if it's just Miro, Rusev, whatever, putting out there in the universe, and Lana going,
love them both. I mean, if Rusev put out a rumour that me and him had lovely naughty kisses in a tank, I wouldn't deny it.
It seems like the cockpit would be quite small for that sort of activity.
My cockpit is perfectly reasonably sized, so I've been told, thank you.
It's a typical John Cena matchup with the beat down on the fight back spot, with the heel manager getting knocked off the apron at one point as well. There's kickouts, there's a finish, and the Cena must stand tall at WrestleMania. Factoids is the reason I think he goes on to get the victory.
Yeah, again, a great match, and again, an opportunity to make somebody...
To make someone new, yeah.
Yeah. Cena just doesn't make people at Mania until... Well, we'll get onto 30. We'll get onto that. I'll get onto that. But it's weird how a guy who spent his first formative years being handed these massive wins over these legacy stars, the moment he becomes a legacy star, he doesn't lose.
No.
Like, where's the lesson learned there? John Cena's star would shine no brighter, or no less bright.
No less bright, yeah.
No less bright had Rusev won. He wouldn't. I don't know why people think that's the case.
And surely Rusev, from that victory, would have gone on to be a proper main event level heel. Someone who would have held the world title for ages. And then when he lost the world title, it could have been a Cena.
Would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Would have been amazing. But no, let's just get that polished off dead quick. Rusev's losing, and he does, and that's a shame. Real shame.
Bearable like Wyatt, I reckon, just because the match was fine, but again, I just think they missed the mark with the booking of the thing.
Do you think in ring it was better than Wyatt and Cena?
I think it was a lot more basic.
Yeah.
I think there was the bit with the chair in the Wyatt match made that a more exciting match than the Rusev match.
So do we put it after the Wyatt match?
After the Wyatt match, yeah.
There we go.
Also, we can just, if we turn that thing sideways...
And stick it straight up, yeah.
We've done what Brock Lesnar did on Raw this week.
Oh, yeah, there he is. What Vince McMahon did to all of us.
Oh, God. On a WrestleMania 33 we go. The Miz and Maurice were toppled by Nikki Bella and John Cena in a moment that had everybody booing inside the arena because Nikki and John dared to show their feelings for one another and dared to be happy in front of other people.
It was quite literally winners stay on.
The build really overshadowed the match itself because it was all about John, Maurice's impersonation of Nikki Bella, Miz doing John Cena's weird, like, he's got a stick up his back pose. Yeah. It was all fantastic. Those vignettes were absolutely fantastic. The match itself was nothing special. The Miz beats down John Cena for a bit. John Cena fights back. The lasses do very little, which I can't remember. Well, I can't remember a lot for WrestleMania 33 because my boss was buying me pints back then. I was very drunk when this match went on. And also sleep deprived, but that's besides the point. But the lasses do very little in this matchup here. Stereo finishes from Nikki and John for the victory. But I think it was just, the match was just a formality to get to the moment that was happening after, which is where John Cena proposes to Nikki Bella. And they ride off happily together forever, ever, like all the fairy tales.
I can't remember much of this match either because whilst you were being bought pints by your bosses, I believe I was, no lie, in a casino watching this event with Northeast comedian Stephen Petty. And we were very drunk at this point. I think it was this one. Stephen will tell me if I was wrong.
Honestly, go back and watch it. The build far supersedes anything we saw.
Yes, it certainly does. The match itself, I mean, as you say, very basic. And again, people booing, people being happy. Like, I'm not saying I was booing them too.
I was just sort of stood there in silence going like, I don't really mind this. It's a WrestleMania moment, if anything.
They don't realise the pressure that puts on when a couple are watching WrestleMania together. And the partner goes, me and Stefan, so Tom, you're going to ask me, like. Sorry, Stefan, I didn't ask you to marry me that night. So like two partners watching, go, so John's marrying. She's put a ring on it. You're gonna, yeah. The pressure that puts on is unfair. Get it in the bin. In the bin? I mean...
I don't think it's bin.
No, because the build was better than the only bin-worthy affair so far. But it's certainly inferior in ring to Rusev and the Wyatt matches. So there you go. Bottom of bearable.
Now, this will be an interesting one to grade because WrestleMania 34 is where John Cena was goading The Undertaker into a WrestleMania match. If I were to fight you, old man, you scaredy cat man. Oh, you're scared to fight me at WrestleMania, are you? Oh, well, I'm just going to sit in the front row. And if you're there, well, I'm ready for a fight. Charlotte Flair finished her match. He's walked up the ramp, and then John Cena gets told in his ear, the Undertaker's here. So he runs up the ramp, he comes back down, Undertaker then appears and squashes John Cena in 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
I loved it.
So did I.
I loved the build to this. I loved. It was John Cena calling out The Undertaker and Undertaker not answering. And him going on to, he was on Raw. I think he was on SmackDown. I think he was on Good Morning Britain. I think he turned up to the weather. I think he called into 5 Live. I think he was just, the whole thing was, I'm just going to go everywhere. I'm going to do everything to get Undertaker to fight me. I loved him sat in the crowd.
Yeah.
I love that bit because it's very rare that there's so many times over the years where obviously our job as reporters and see you later aggregators, the stories get out about Mania and what's happening and stuff. So I love the fact that we had a story that kept us guessing all the way through.
Yeah.
And I love that. And Cena being sat there and then running backstage and then Cena coming out for the match, ready to go, lights go out, Elias comes out. They kept it bubbling for ages, and finally Undertaker comes out and he thrashes John Cena. Yeah. And after the Bray Wyatt match, the Rusev match, the stuff with Miz again, I think this is at least lovely. I think it's a long time coming.
It's not your classic 5-star match, but who cares? It was two big men slapping their meat together. It was fantastic.
And it was a great story that went into it, and I actually do I prefer that to... No, I don't prefer that to Rock and Cena.
It was the right story to tell as well for The Undertaker after WrestleMania 33, where he lost conclusively to Roman Reigns. Yeah,
and also, was it also around this time where we had... Is this pre-Goldberg Undertaker?
This would have been 24. What year are we on? 34. 2018.
Because is it before that match happened? Yeah. Right. Because look, in that case, it's with that one then with the main event of Undertaker Roman the year before. That was a really sad match because Undertaker just looked haggard.
He looked really knackered.
And it was a win that nobody really wanted to happen or nobody wanted to see. It was a real flat end to WrestleMania. So this was a reinvigorated Undertaker. Telling John Cena, lose to some younger wrestlers. That's your role now. Because from here, he does that.
Yeah.
Like, lose to younger wrestlers. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So WrestleMania 35, John Cena does a little bit with Elias, but it's not an official matchup. The Dr. Thugonomics, he comes back.
That was nice.
It's all nice stuff, but it's not an official matchup, therefore it's not in the tier. We get on to WrestleMania 36, and we do things right with Bray Wyatt kind of this time around, because we get the Firefly Funhouse match. I'm just going to reel off some highlights from the match. We get the prototype, John Cena. 80s, John Cena comes to the fore with Johnny Large Meat. You can look, but you can't touch, all that sort of good stuff, memorable moments. NWO Cena, he finally turns heel. The Vince McMahon puppet saying, that's good, you know what. The Dr. Thugonomics comes back for another WrestleMania thing, and then John Cena is murdered and sent to purgatory and never heard from again. He sort of fell... Remember the Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat with Donny Osmond, where he sort of falls down? Poor Joseph, what you gonna do? And he falls down at the prison. That's what John Cena did.
Yeah.
At the hands of Bray Wyatt.
I'm sad that they never sort of addressed it on Cena's comeback. Like he turns up through a portal or something.
Yeah.
Like looking all like war torn, like he's like the war doctor, like he's just been fighting in another galaxy for 1,000 years, and now he's back. This is for this. This was at the start of the pandemic.
Backs against the wall.
Backs against the wall. We had WrestleMania to do. Well, they didn't have to do it, but they wanted to do it. They did it from the Performance Center. What a weird, horrible, sad time that was in sort of March, April, as the pandemic was sort of starting to bite. WrestleMania, a very welcome distraction.
It was fantastic.
From everything.
Yeah.
And that match in particular, that and the Boneyard match were... For those brief bits of time, you forgot that the world was on fire, and you were just baffled by what you were seeing. I think it was the WWE production absolutely proving why they are the best on the planet.
Yeah.
With all of this silliness, it's very divisive. Is it a match? Is it a segment? You know, is what is it? Is it a thing?
Bray Wyatt got the W.
Bray Wyatt got the win. Technically got the win. I thought it was great. Do we put it in the best? I think that there's lots to love from it.
I thought it was fantastic. I still think it's fantastic going back and watching it in 2023, because I haven't seen it in full since, we watched it live sat in here in 2020. And going back and watching it, it's held up all this time later. I just think it's fantastic.
I think this is going to be one of those things that really divides people that watch, because I think there's going to be people that watch and go, that's immediately in the bin, and there'll be people that will go, that's one of the best bits of John Cena WrestleMania stuff I've ever seen. Are we putting it in the best?
I love stupid bollocks wrestling.
Look at that. Yeah. I think it would be sacrilege if we put it above Cena and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, God, no. We can't do that.
No.
It's a match, but it is in the best tier. It's a feel-good thing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then we get a little break for John Cena at WrestleMania, and then we get to Sunday's WrestleMania 39 match, his 16th WrestleMania match against Austin Theory. And we were speaking about this earlier today, Tom. We don't think John Cena was asked about Austin Theory, and he wasn't really invested in the matchup itself.
Literally, if he'd started filling out his self-assessment tax return halfway through the match, I probably wouldn't have noticed, because it was so going through the motions for John Cena, and it felt like a contractual obligation. He's midway through filming something currently, isn't he?
I've got no idea. But it would make sense if he was, because
he wasn't tanned. He just looked like he'd. It was almost like he was, I'm on my way to the studios. I'm in Hollywood anyway. I'll pop in for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
This felt like John Cena popping into WrestleMania for a cup of tea. Opening match, which is, I think, the right thing to do. Stick it out first.
Yeah.
But give us some of the beats of this particularly.
Well, we had a nice entrance
match
with John Cena. I think that was the highlight of the piece for him entirely, was his nice entrance with Make-A-Wish and all that sort of stuff. Austin Theory bites him on the ear, which was the most exciting point of the match. There was rumours from Fightful, reports from Fightful saying that the match didn't go anywhere near as long. It was written down on the run sheet for WrestleMania Night 1, which I think tells you all you need to know about, I think, how John Cena treated the entire thing. Because you look at it from Cena's perspective, he had that promo on Raw against Austin Theory where he completely obliterated him, saying, like, even if you win Austin Theory, you're not going to win because the crowd are going to boo you out the building, which they didn't do. And I'm glad Austin Theory referenced that on last night's Raw as Wes had here, because John Cena gave Theory nothing from build to finish. It was incredible. And as I've written down, it's a really basic match from start to finish. We got some I think it was Lewis in the work chat yesterday was like, Cena got some nice like victory photos of him like doing the STF, which would make him look like he maybe did well in the matchup there, but it was very basic. We got the ref bump and the submission, the fake tap out, and for some reason John Cena, in all of his years of experience, he started celebrating, hoof to the nads, finisher, that was it.
Really, really nothing to write home about. And it's weirdly bookends his story at WrestleMania, you know, the fighting the legacy star for the US title and using shenanigans to come up and win the whole thing. And now here's Austin Theory fighting a legacy champion with the US title on the line and using shenanigans to come up victorious. The difference being Big Show really polished up Cena in WrestleMania 20. Big Show really made John Cena look strong. Cena did nothing for Theory, and that really annoyed me because John Cena has always prided himself on being a guy that really cares about the business and always comes back and always does stuff and always gives it some. The John Cena US Open Challenge is a great example of Cena when he was at his height, giving time to guys like Neville and Sami Zayn and such, and really making stars out of them in matches. I would rather have Cena not been at Mania at all, and got someone like Bobby Lashley or LA Knight on the card to have a banger against Austin Theory. I think that I get why, because it's Mania, that's why you do it, but this needs to go in the bin. I'd actually say that. Would you say it's worse? The difference with this one and the Miz one
is that Theory can go, I beat John Cena at WrestleMania. That's all he's got. He's got
the win over. So maybe it's wrong for me to say Cena gave him nothing. He's got that win over. But then Miz can say he beat John Cena at WrestleMania for all that's worth. The difference, I guess, with these is that by the time Tyson O'Neill was out doing commentary, that match had already kind of happened, and then we had like 2 nights of WrestleMania to focus on. It wasn't the epicenter of WrestleMania, whereas the Miz and Cena one was. Yeah. So I think that maybe makes it worse.
Yeah.
Than at least that it was done, and then
Or it could make it slightly better because it wasn't the epicenter, and therefore Cena wasn't really. That was like what WrestleMania should have been built on, but they completely missed the point of WrestleMania 27.
Yeah, so maybe that goes above the Miz match,
but still very much firmly in the bin.
Yeah, like Cena basically having his Uber booked before the ref bump.
It was really
he was gone. Like from what I gather, he was gone fairly sharpish after the show. Like after his match.
To see, because after that promo, you're thinking surely Theory's going to get like a really good match and come out of it looking really good. And he got the win, and maybe they're banking on people not going back and just watching the match and just seeing like the Wikipedia page say Austin Theory beats John Cena, and that'll be enough for his future in the company banner.
Would we have felt different about it if Theory had come out and gone open challenge, who wants a piece, and then Cena answered the open challenge?
That would be a lot more
palatable. And then Theory beat him anyway. It was exactly the same match, but Cena was a surprise.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been more palatable, but as you say, the fact that Cena buried him in the week running up to going, you're not ready for me.
Yeah.
And then
even if you win, you lose. It's like, well, what?
Great work.
Anyway, we go. There is our tier list ranking for John Cena's WrestleMania matches. Do you want to shift any in the history of that tier?
So let's go through. In the bin, I do think that Miz and Cena's the worst.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And then I think a rightful second worst is the one that we saw the other day.
Yep.
The winners get married, I think, is worse than the Rusev match and the Wyatt match.
Yeah, missing the mark, those two then.
Missing the mark. Cena's Mania debut against Big Show, definitely just all right. But then we've got to build like a nice steady build then, because his match against JBL was slightly better. The triple threat was good. Triple H Norton was good. His second match with The Rock, whilst hampered with injury, was still an improvement on that. The other triple threat, the drama, the story, the energy around it.
The sequential nature of stuff we saw, yes.
The sequential nature. I like it.
One bit led to the next, but it was lovely laid out.
Cena's second Mania main event. His first Mania main event, because Triple H was really good. We loved him getting battered by The Undertaker after he's battered the Young'uns for a while.
The right thing to do at the time, wasn't it?
The right thing to do. The first match once in a lifetime against The Rock was, that holds up well still. His match against Batista is still very good. Big boys. Due to the time frame and the production and the energy around it, I think his Firefly Funhouse showdown with Wyatt is easily the best.
Yep.
But the best match has to be against Shawn Michaels.
There are no other contenders, Tom.
Yeah.
That is it. John Cena's best WrestleMania match was against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. Tell us how wrong we are in the comments down below. I have been Gary YouTube, joined by another Gary YouTube, and we'll see you next time on the tier list thingy. Let us know what you want to see in future tier lists. I'll take your suggestions and use them like they were my own idea, because that's the horrible nature of YouTube. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.